Hey y'all, Austin here with Outer World Media. Welcome back to another book review, guys. This is a series that I really didn't know what to expect going into it, and it was a little different than what I had expected, but I still enjoyed it. So I wanted to, get on here and talk to you guys about it. That is the Charlie Parker series by John Connolly. The first book is Every Dead Thing. Again, guys, if you watched my weekly update video, you know that they have the series on sale on Kindle. It's like $2 a book, and I had some Kindle credit. Sorry, guys, English is hard. I had some Kindle credit on there, so I figured, you know what, I'll pick up, the first 5 or 10 books, whatever, and then I got like a third of the way through the book and said, nope, I need to pick up the rest of them. So I did finish book number 1. So I want to go in here and talk to you guys about it. Kind of getting into this, what is this book about? This book is about Charlie Parker. He was a New York detective who, unfortunately, as we find out, had some terrible stuff happen to him. He was, like I said, a detective, and he started to drink a little more and had some issues at home. And as we find out, not that far into the book, he went out one night to go just kind of, I guess, drown his sorrows, if you will. Throw back a few cold ones after getting into a fight with his wife. And upon coming back to his residence or his home after a few hours at the bar, he had discovered that someone had not only murdered his wife and daughter, but mutilated them in a very graphic way. So, that's kind of how the book opens up, and, we find out that Mr. Parker is no longer a, detective anymore. He's kind of like a private eye in the private eye sector, if you will. And so we're kind of following him. He's still focusing on what happened to his wife and his daughter not that long ago. And, this book is kind of, it feels like 2 books put together, in my honest opinion. And what I mean by that is, we're kind of he talks about and reminisces about his wife and his daughter and what happened to them. And, while at the same time, focusing on that, he's also focusing on this case of this missing person. And so we end up seeing, just some people that Mr. Parker knows and whatnot. And so he's trying to, solve this case, but he's also trying to focus on what happened to his wife and daughter and figure out who did it. Now, I won't say whether or not we figure that out in book 1 or if that continues on in the rest of the series. Again, I want there to be some kind of element of surprise in this and kind of leave you hanging on your seat, because that's what this did most of the time to me, was made me think, okay, are we going to figure out what happened, or who did it in this first book? Is it going to continue on? What's going on? And so it kind of leaves you guessing, up until about 3/4 of the way through. And so I will say did really, really enjoy this book. There was a couple things, I guess, that they're kind of nitpicks, if you will. Again, it kind of felt like this book was two different stories in one. It felt like kind of like 2 novellas put together. But I enjoyed it. It was like a TV series, where they have one main goal, but they have this little thing that they're kind of focusing on, or this main thing. That's kind of what that felt like there for the first little part of this book. Aside from that, there's a couple scenes where they, I don't know, I guess the best way to say it, describe a couple things, if you will. I will say, if you are very squeamish, he does not go over the top. If you've seen the Terrifier movies, you probably know what I'm talking about as far as like over the top gore, but he doesn't shy away from it, and he does let you know, hey, this person has been, had this happen to him. So again, if you get queasy very easily, probably not going to enjoy that part of this. But I think that just adds to the detail that he goes into, makes it seem kind of like a Criminal Minds killer. And again, this book, I don't know what it was. I really enjoyed it. This was a series, I kind of expected it to be more of like a supernatural-esque, like, private eye for whatever reason, and it wasn't really that, but I wasn't disappointed that it wasn't that. Again, it felt like if a private eye, if they made a show about a private eye, but it was like how Criminal Minds, these sadistic killers and whatnot. That's kind of what this felt like. So again, I really enjoyed it. This was a book again. I enjoyed well enough that I am going to my local library sale this weekend in a couple of days, and I've already told my wife I'm going to try to find these books in physical format just so I can have them because of how much I enjoyed that first book. I want to have them on my Kindle as well as a physical format because again, I like laying in bed and reading on my Kindle, but when I'm up on the couch, I want to have an actual physical book, and I was just flying through that. I flew through that first book so quickly that I kind of wish I had a book, physical book, to kind of pace myself. I will say Charlie Parker as a character, a very flawed man. He does learn from his mistakes. As the book goes on, we find out he doesn't drink no more. So he's somebody that kind of is battling his demons. He's not somebody that's just conquered them immediately. So I really enjoyed that. There is a little bit of a love interest in this book. We also see a couple of what he describes as acquaintances, but we really kind of find out they're like two of his best friends, I guess. And those two are in a relationship together and whatnot, so we kind of get to see how that came to be, and just kind of a little bit more background on Charlie Parker, which I find him very interesting as a character. I wouldn't mind seeing Kevin Toll do a deep dive into the Charlie Parker character. But again, guys, like I said, just kind of wanted to get on here and give you that quick little, review. Every Dead Thing by John Connolly. Sorry, not Michael. By John Connolly. The first Charlie Parker book. Should you pick it up? I think you should. If you are a, fan of Longmire, but you want something a little bit, not as humorous. There's a couple of little humorous scenes in here, but if you want something that's more darker and edgier, I think this will be right up your alley. So again, guys, as always, thank you for stopping by, and y'all have a good one.